Peace, love, and blessings to each and every one of you. Welcome and welcome back to Redefining Authenticity. I am your co-host, Sharonda L. Barksdale, your life empowerment coach over at Authentically Your Expressions, where I'm helping you live your most authentic life.
Yes, and peace and blessings, love and light. It's your girl, Kim, and I am your toolbox essentialist and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And it is also home of the 365-day challenge, where we are on day what? 265, y'all. We almost in the home stretch. 100 days left. Okay.
100 days.
Stay tuned. Keep
Girl,
rocking with me.
it's gonna feel like 1,000, but feel like 3 at the same time. It's like it's flying, but it's so crazy that we're aging rapidly.
Oh my goodness. But honey, we are all full on in deep into September.
Deep.
Today, the first day of fall. All right, y'all. Happy fall, y'all.
Happy
Okay.
fall.
It's boot
All
weather.
right,
It's sweater
Atlanta.
weather.
Please feel like fall. Atlanta, we ready?
Okay. Okay. Because I got my whole collection of boots on lock. I'm ready. I'm ready.
You got the boot
Sweater
out,
weather. Leather weather. I'm ready.
leather wet. I want some hoodies. I just want some hoodies.
Anything. I'm ready. I'm so ready. So yes, happy fall, y'all. Happy fall.
Yes. So today, y'all, we're going to be talking about understanding people with complex trauma. If y'all don't know, this is Suicide Awareness Month, but we're also in the business of supporting mental health. So maybe we won't even get to that space. So we want to understand people who've dealt with not just one incident of trauma, but it's got kind of complex for their lives. And I'm sure you know somebody or you have been through this. So I hope this helps support your journey.
Yes, all right. And before we get started, please make sure that you like, follow, share, subscribe. Our information that is not our information is spelling across the bottom of
Uh-oh.
the screen.
It's about to be. It's about to be.
It's about to be. It's about to be. I'm sorry I had the wrong banner showing up there. And hold on, wait, one more. There we go. The banner that is now scrolling across the bottom of your screen has our YouTube channels on there. Make sure that you like, follow, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you always know when we are on and live. Okay. And then also make sure you DM us and let us know what you'd like to see on the show.
Uh-oh. And quick pause. One time for the birthday boy. Peace, G.
That was 2 times.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, G. It is G's birthday, and we want to send him a shout out, birthday shout out, some birthday love. We love you, my friend.
My baby.
Happy
big 5-0. The big 5-0. The big 5-0.
Welcome on the block, friend. Welcome on the block. Come join me. Come take a seat. I got a seat right next to me. Come on, take a seat. Okay.
Yeah,
I got a couple of more years in there, but that's all right. You're just starting up though. You're gonna keep up the rear. Okay. I'm at the double nickel mark. I'm at the halfway mark, but that's all right. We still on the same block, friend. Okay.
I'm 46. I'm 46, though. I'm 46.
Tell her ain't nobody asked all that. Ain't nobody asked you all that. Okay, hold on. Let me get my life together here. Why I can't get us on here together? What is happening today? Hold on. There we go. I was like, what is happening?
I was like, y'all, she took me off the screen.
Okay. All you saw was my 5 head, but that's all right. We back. Okay. So she said, understanding people with complex trauma.
Yeah.
So let's get it started.
Okay. So y'all, if you don't know, what is complex trauma? It's a trauma may refer to a single incident, while complex trauma refers to a series of traumatic events that take place over a long period of time, like months or years. So this was first introduced in the 1990s trusted source by Judith Lewis Herman, PhD. Complex trauma has a lot in common with the classic symptoms of PTSD, such as feeling anxious, having flashbacks, and avoiding circumstances that remind you of the traumatic events. Have you seen this before, people, Kim?
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, some people have seen, like you said, some people who are in the military have had symptoms. Like they say, the symptoms are similar to PSD, but we're talking about people who may have experienced back-to-back deaths of a family
Yeah.
member.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you have, we have families who are husband and wives who have been married for years and years and years, and then one passes, and then shortly thereafter, the other one
One.
passes, and it
Hmm.
can be traumatic. And
Yes.
then, I have a friend who lost both of their parents, and then lost their younger brother, older sister, and then their second older sister,
Oh
and it
no.
all happened within a matter of like 5 years.
See, yeah,
So that's that complex trauma, that back to back,
it is.
traumatic events,
Yeah,
and yeah, they have those feelings of anxiety, and you have flashbacks.
yeah.
I know someone who has a family member a daughter who committed suicide, but their mom committed suicide, and so did their sister
Oh man.
over the course of 20 years.
Oh
So
my
yes, those
goodness.
feelings of anxiousness, those flashbacks,
Yeah.
of oh my goodness, what happened? You
Yeah.
know,
So
it's a lot.
it makes me think of even people who may have say you were abused as a child, and then you get into abusive relationships and domestic violence relationships, and then maybe you had a bad car accident. It could look like multiple different things happen in one person's lifetime as well.
Yeah,
That to themselves that kind of causes that complex all those feelings that we just listed here.
yeah.
So yeah, it exists. It really does.
And just like you said, those feelings of anxiousness come up because, of course, when it happens or you see it happen, you know what they say, especially, and I hate to bring up death, but that's one of those things that people tend to refer to when they think about trauma as well, because it's like, oh my goodness, it's gonna happen in threes, and then one passes, and you hear about somebody else, and you hear about it, and it's just like, it makes you start to contemplate life,
Right.
So yeah, that complex trauma is definitely something not to be taken lightly, and it's real to that person who is experiencing it.
Peace uniquely. Thanks for joining us.
Right there. Welcome in. All right. So let's talk about what complex trauma can look like. Okay. It can look like multiple heartbreaks. When you think about relationships, you constantly seem to be in this cycle of not being able to find that right person, and so you're having heartbreaks, whether it be personal or whether it be professional. You may have been trying to think about jobs and losing jobs and multiple things like that. So heartbreak can look like relationship heartbreaks, but can also look like professional heartbreaks as well, when you put your heart and soul into a career, or starting a business if you're a serial entrepreneur, and having your heart broken because things didn't quite work out the way you thought they would.
Hmm.
Maybe can you think of any other examples of multiple heartbreaks, Shawanda?
I mean, you listed them as I think of them. Just somebody, I think of people that I know that have been in multiple bad relationships just over and over again. And their heart's broken. They really don't want to date anymore. They've kind of pushed away the whole notion of marriage and things like that because of multiple heartbreaks, because it's traumatic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you've got the layers of betrayal, falls along those same lines of people who are in abusive relationships, because that level of trust has been broken. And like I said, we can see that in personal relationships. We can see that in friendships, people who you've been lifelong friends with, people who you've been married to for a long time. All of a sudden, those layers of betrayal start to surface, and it gives you that feeling of hopelessness. Like,
Yeah.
why are we? Why am I going through this again? Again, why is this always happening to me? And then
Yes.
that trauma becomes real because they can't see that it's not happening to them over and over again. They're
Yes.
trying to figure out when are they going to get their break.
Hmm. Absolutely. I was sitting here looking at the years of being abandoned or ignored, because I had know a young lady that was a client of mine, and she was adopted, but and that's a feeling of abandonment within itself. Once you get old enough to realize these are not my biological parents, you feel abandoned. But then she also felt abandoned and ignored by her adoptive family. She felt like nobody in the family at all ever really accepted her. So she has layers upon layers of some trauma that she has had to do, and continues to do the work in trying to dig through those layers so that she can get some healing, because it's a little difficult when you have those feelings.
You're welcome, Uniquely. She was like, I needed to be here. I appreciate you, ladies. We
Mhm.
appreciate you being here.
We appreciate you
And
being here.
we're hoping that we can, peel back those layers together, And I definitely think when I think about those years of being abandoned and ignored, people just not feeling valued. We're seeing a lot of that, especially in the workplace for some. You want to feel valued. You want to feel valued in your relationships. You want to feel valued at your job. There are a lot of people who are experiencing that whole quiet quitting. They're just sitting there going through the motions of work because they don't feel valued or appreciated for the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
And so that comes in different forms as well. I would be remiss to just say it happens in relationships, but it happens on the job as well. When you've been there, you've given 25, 30 years, and you're seeing people being let go, people who are doing things that they're supposed to do, but they're just a number when it comes to these people. They're just, and if they're not meeting the quotas or things like that, they're being abandoned, they're being ignored for the hard work that they're doing.
Right.
Okay, and you can wrap up the last one, Shavonda.
Oh, okay, or hurt by the very people they thought loved them. We see that quite often. Again, that sounds like the years of being abandoned as well. If you had were abused by parents, uncles, siblings, or anything like that, and then when you become an adult, you're dating, and there's a level of abuse there too. And you're really trying to just love them. You want to feel the feeling of love. You want to experience love with these people, and they almost made you, because we see where people will make you believe that they love you and will also beat you. You see those instances where people are really getting hurt, and that causes a lot of trauma, because every time I step back in and decide to trust you again and feel loving with you again, and then now, even if you're not physically hurting me, you hurt me with your words or with holding back money or things that I need in the household. So when people are using that as a form of manipulation, it definitely looks like complex trauma.
Mm-hmm. One word I can think of: gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
Okay, because they make it seem like everything is your fault or things are happening because of you and you've done it, and the very person that you love, the very person that you thought cared about you, is gaslighting you and making you feel as though the things that are happening are all your fault. And so that can definitely cause a lot of trauma. If you're trying to do your best and that you're not doing things and you're being told that it's your fault. So yeah, that's what it can look like. It can take on many different faces. All right, let me move on. My little mouse doesn't want to cooperate. There we go.
Right. Yeah, so people with complex trauma these are going to just be some things that you may be able to notice in someone else and maybe within yourself. They may overthink everything. They overthink everything someone says to them. And it's because they're conditioned to. Over a while, it's hard to trust what people say. When somebody tells you you're so pretty, and then next minute they're like, you're ugly stuff. Those things that show up contradictory. Now they're thinking about, is this true? Are they really telling me the truth? I don't know if I believe him. He said he loves me. I don't know if I should believe that. They're conditioned to read the room instead of for danger. We're supposed to read the room for danger.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be able to read the room. We're supposed to be able to see when something's going to be hurtful towards us, but we're misinterpreting things. Love is love, but if you never experienced love, or you feel like you've never experienced love, you miss it every single time. You miss it every single time, and it's just overthinking.
That's it. Just like you said, you're living in that feeling of fear. Because like, what does that mean? Or what did they say? Everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're second guessing everything.
I think a lot of it, Kim, I often wonder if that comes from schooling, like coming through the grade years and things that our teachers, the people that you trusted that you emulated or you thought were so smart or so grand, and you're trusting the things that they say, and then next minute they make you feel bad about yourself. You're stupid. That was dumb. Why did you do that? So you almost don't trust your own judgment after a while. That's where the overthinking comes from. Because
you're right.
I think I did a good job. They said I did, but did I really? That overthinking will come in. Mm-hmm. I wonder about that sometimes. Could that be one of the sources? I know it's not the only.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And then I think when they talk about overthinking everything, just like you say, you start second guessing yourself, even when you're capable of doing things. I think about that when they talk about imposter syndrome.
Girl, that's what I was just sitting there thinking.
You thought you were okay. You thought that you were good. You know that you're qualified, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, no, maybe I can't do it. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not doing anything right. And you've proven that you're qualified, but now all of a sudden you begin to second guess yourself and overthink yourself, and it wears on your ability to love on yourself.
Yes, it does.
Because that 1 minute you had confidence and you thought you were okay, and then it took one person to say something, and like you said, it was important. Sometimes it's that person that you respect, and just like you're talking about with school, because I remember I used to be like super loud in schools, and then my teacher was like, "Oh my Kim, why are you so loud?" Then all of a sudden I stopped. I started second guessing
the opposite direction,
and I started talking real low, and people were like, "I can't hear you. Speak up, girl." And it was because I remember the teacher said I was too loud.
Yes.
And because I loved that teacher and I respected that teacher, she didn't mean any harm. But now all of a sudden it made me overthink everything I ever did from that point, and I was no longer loud.
Yeah.
I've been told ever since, until I started coaching and speaking publicly. Then I started getting my voice back. But for years I was almost at a whisper because I was like, I'm being too loud and I'm drawing negative attention to myself. So it's amazing how someone can cause you to start second guessing yourself, and then it plants that seed in you, and you continue to harp on that, and that becomes your reality.
It becomes your reality.
You agree to.
You done played it over and over again in your head. And Kim brought up a good point about self-love. It is very difficult to be able to even navigate the world when you're an overthinker, especially if you don't know how to love yourself appropriately. And I just want to throw out there real quick for y'all, you don't have to do anything right or wrong to love yourself. It's not conditional. Your self-love is just because you are. Because I exist, I love me. Don't worry about how good or bad you can do a thing. No matter how smart or somebody else is smart or whatever, success, whatever, don't use those as measurements to judge whether or not you should love yourself. Because if you can gain that understanding and love yourself just as you are, you won't overthink things as much. Because if you can accept you, you learn how to accept the world around you.
That's right. That's right. All said, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Okay. People with complex trauma may be emotionally hot and or cold. They've never known stability. So peace feels suspicious.
Oof.
That's a lot to unpack.
Did we have you had this conversation?
Yeah. You go in extremes, and there are times when you can be feeling really good and feeling like I'm ready, I'm on top of the world, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh my goodness, you're questioning everything you've ever done. And just like you said, and just when you're feeling like, oh, you know what, I feel okay, then you're like, wait a minute, why do I feel okay today? And why all of a sudden you're overthinking, you're second guessing. And I have to be transparent. I had a feeling like that a couple of weeks back. All of a sudden I didn't feel, although I know that I'm doing things and I know that I'm being influential in the things that I'm doing in my life and in the lives of those around me. For a brief fleeting moment, there was like a day where I was just like, I don't feel valued or appreciated. I just had that feeling, and it just came out of nowhere, and I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
So every now and then you will experience some highs and some lows.
Yeah.
Just like you said, just when everything is going right, then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, things are going too right.
Yeah.
Something is about to happen. Something must be going to happen because, things are going all right for right now. And we can't embrace it and enjoy it. We start to question it.
Yes. And I'm even going to talk about how this looks in relationships. People who have dealt with complex trauma, a lot of times you'll see them one day so happy in love, and the next day they're pulling away from the person because they're not certain. So you see that hot, passionate person, then all of a sudden, I can't even touch you today. What's going on? And like it says, they're suspicious. They don't even know how to rest. And this is good. This feels good. I enjoy this moment. And that's what I try to tell people all the time. Life is about enjoying the moments because anything can happen. Somebody doesn't have to, you people get in relationships and they're paranoid if somebody's going to cheat on them. I'm suspicious. I need to look in your phone. I need to do this. But that may not be the thing that happens. For me, it was my husband died. You know what I'm saying? So when you're always looking for something to happen, I can almost guarantee something's going to happen because it's just life. Something's always going to happen. But the more we can be present, the more we can enjoy the now, the easier it is to find peace. When people grow up in households where it was chaos and craziness and things going on, they can't date somebody who's peaceful. It's hard for them to date it because it seems like something got to be wrong.
Right. Right. You're so right about that. Just like you said, that hot and cold, that uncertainty, that questioning everything. You know, you're constantly in a state of quandary.
Yes.
And that's a horrible place
It's
to be
hard.
at times. It's a hard place, not a horrible place. It's a hard place to be because we are spiritual beings living a human experience. So we're going to have feelings, and it's important that we know what to do with those feelings when we feel them. When we get to those spaces of having those lows, what is it that we do? What do we do in those instances? When I started feeling like, oh my goodness, I don't feel valued, I don't feel appreciated, I had to go back and I had to go to my scriptures. I had to go to my meditation.
Yeah.
So it's what you do with that feeling when you experience it. It's never that you're not going to experience the emotion that you're having. It's how you deal with it when you recognize it. What is it that I can do? What is my go-to? Like I said, I'm the toolbox essentialist.
Yes.
What is that tool that I'm going to reach back for that's going to help to pull me out of this space that I'm in? You know, but it's all about living in the now, living in the present, and embracing that for what it is, and not worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow or what happened yesterday. Focus on what's happening right now, and that's what puts you in that space of coping, which is what?
Creating our peaceful existence.
There you go. All right. I love that.
Yes.
All right.
You preach that, girl.
Yes, ma'am. Right, this is you.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm tired. People with complex trauma may not trust easily. You have to be aware of that. They may test you unintentionally because they're in survival mode. I don't even like seeing that word no more. Survival mode versus thriving. You know, when you're someone who's dealt with a lot of trauma, you're just trying to get by most of the time in your head. It's like, I just want to survive. I just want to get through this day. I just want to get through. And so when you're in a situation like in a romantic relationship, they'll test you sometimes. I'm about to leave. I'm not the one to test like that. Don't do that to me.
Okay.
Don't do that over here. When you say, Kim, don't tease me with a good time.
Don't go threatening me with a good time, okay? Don't go threatening me with a good time.
Because I enjoy me.
Yeah, for what you asked for.
Okay. But a lot of times when you have complex trauma, I understand that. I can see why it's very difficult to develop a trusting relationship with friends, to find a good girlfriend. Because if you have to have somebody that you can really talk to and be secure in the information that you're sharing with them. And if you had so much trauma, you're distrusting.
Yeah.
And I've seen people do that. Just try to test it. Just let me see if I tell her this, and she gonna run back and tell this person.
Right.
Why are you spending your time testing people? So much trauma.
Mm-hmm. That one is huge. Just like you said, it's hard to trust. Trust is the foundation of so many things, which is why when they were talking about it earlier and saying that, you know, you have those issues of, you know, you have trust issues. You can't rely on people to do what they say they're going to do because you've experienced so much negativity that it's like, you know, no, I'm in survival mode because every time I let my guard down, every time I, you know, show a little bit of vulnerability, I feel like somebody's going to crush my heart or they're going to do something that's going to harm me. So like you said, you start asking all of those hypothetical questions and you start, oh, well, I just wonder, if I do this, you know, you see that in social media, you see people playing all these pranks. You see people do it on the radio stations where they pretend to do things because they want to see how people are going to react.
Don't do that.
And that's something that I've never been a fan of, things like that. You know, you don't play with someone's emotions like that. You know, that's why you have communication.
Yes.
That's because when you have communication and you just talk about those things that it is that you need and the things that are bothering you, if you're open and honest about that,
there you go.
Then you're going to get the answers and the responses that you're looking for.
Right.
You know, but to do it, you know, just to test it, You know, be careful. What do they say? Be careful when you go fishing because you might catch a what? A fish.
The very thing you would
looking for something, you just might find it.
you might find it.
Be careful about that. You know, we're so much in that survival mode. When do you, and if the relationship isn't built on trust, that's a problem right then and there.
I'm doing good trust and chase.
Trust in the bank with your money. How about that? Okay. Okay. Don't test it. You can't test we. Okay.
I feel like they test my gangster every so often, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But I get where they come from. I get where people come from, where they want to find out, does this person really, really mean what they say? But testing isn't always the best way to go about it. You know, like calling them and saying, oh my gosh, I was in a bad car accident. And they come run to come find you and come to find out nothing really happened. Or I just wanted to see if you were loyal. I just want to see if you would actually show up for me.
Because in doing that, you're damaging your own. Now they can't trust you.
Now they can't
you play too much because you crying wolf. Don't do that.
Wolf.
You're doing just the thing that you're saying that they're doing to you.
To you.
By trying to be cute. Don't do it. Do not do it.
And we're going to go back to what Kim talked about last slide or the slide before, self-love. Same thing with trust. If you learn to trust yourself, you don't worry about who's out here that you need to trust. You don't have to worry about that. People are going to do stuff. People are going to break our hearts. Sometimes but we learn from it. We gather the information we need from it, and we trust that we're going to make a better decision next time. You're not supposed to put all your trust in people to make you feel the way you want to feel. That's your job.
That's right.
That is your job. So when we're looking at things like this, yes, people have betrayed you. Straight up. That is absolutely true. We will never take those type of things. Yes, people may have hurt you. I try to always validate those feelings when I'm talking to someone about these things. Yes, that happened. Now, how do we go about doing it differently?
Right.
Taking your time about learning how to trust someone. Putting $2 in Chase instead of 200. You know, sorry, I'm a little bitter with Chase right now. But just taking the baby steps that you need to do with people, with jobs. Because, you know, that 90-day probationary period can be a little shaky sometimes with these employers that say that you're going to be there, you know, and taking your time about just life in general and trusting your gut and your instinct to be able to make the right decisions for your life.
There you go. Mm-hmm. There you go. Because at the end of the day, who can you trust and believe in most? It starts with yourself. Okay. We can't be in control of other people's feelings. So yeah, that's one important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So people with complex trauma may crave deep love, but fear it also. Love has looked like manipulation, and affection was used as a weapon.
Yeah.
So those who have been in traumatic relationships, in relationships where they have been abused, whether it be physically, whether it be emotionally, verbally, you know, they want love, but just like they said, they fear that manipulation. They fear that gaslighting. They fear that things may change. And just like you said earlier, if they're in relationships and they're seeing that same pattern,
yeah,
because there are some people who, you know, they date people who have similar traits as the person who they were with prior to. And so, you know, they say that the definition of insanity is, you know, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if you're constantly looking for a person that does similar things to that person that hurt you, buyer beware. It may be that that person may have similar traits to that person. You know, oh, I like that. I like thugs. I like those guys. Okay, so what comes with that is the possibility that there's some thug activity that may happen.
Yes.
Oh, I like those guys who talk to you rough. Well, if that's what you're consistently looking for and expecting that it's going to be different in the next person, it's like, what are you going to do? So you have to, you know, you have to look at the relationships that you're establishing and seeing if you're following a similar pattern. Same thing with work patterns. Are you doing things? Are you looking for similar jobs? Are you looking for similar things to do and expecting it to be different? Okay. We want those deep relationships, but we really have to look at those checklists. Yeah. What are those things that are non-negotiable? Are we sticking to those, or are we saying, well, oh yeah, I really don't like guys who smoke, but you know, he's real fine and he looking real good. And, you know, are we, you know, the ones that are you know, the author of our fate when it comes to things like
Come
that?
on.
We crave deep love, but are we sticking to those things that are non-negotiable?
Come on. Kim, you be in my head. You be in my head because, as always, I always like to play devil's advocate and see both sides of this. Yeah, so you've had bad experiences. How did you help contribute to some of them? And it's not saying you're a bad or good person. We have to have an awareness of the parts we play so that we don't keep repeating, like Kim said. If we don't come to the place where we can say, you know what, I did test him a little too much. You know what, I did push her away a little too much. Maybe I did contribute to this in some way. You know how to move differently the next time. But that craving that's a difficult thing to navigate. Craving the love. I want some deep love, but I'm scared of it. Round peg, square hole. They don't they don't work together at all. And so you got to take your time to heal yourself. Make sure you're looking at yourself, being able to honor and bear witness to, yes, these things hurt me, but they are not me.
Right.
If I can say that to myself, then I don't fear things as much. But I know absolutely how people use affection as a weapon. I've had that before, where someone, anytime I break up with them, then all of a sudden, I miss you so much. I miss you so much. Could you please come back? I really just want to talk to you. Yeah. And I try to give them another chance, and they back acting a fool all over again. That's weaponizing. Because now all of a sudden I'm trying to trust, because I probably liked you a lot or loved you at some point, and then now you're just doing the same thing over, and I'm hoping things have changed, and they didn't. So it's a tightrope. It's a very fine line to walk, but it can be done.
Yes. But again, like you said, even when we talk about that deep love, everybody wants that deep love. They want that affection. And some people just like the idea of being in love. They just don't want to. They fear when they say that they have they crave deep love, but they fear being alone.
They fear being alone.
They fear sitting with themselves. And that's the time when you should be gleaning what was going on in the previous relationship and what are some things that I can do differently going into the next one. That's your downtime to love on you. And so, but sometimes we just want to say that we're in a relationship, or people are pressuring us. Oh, you don't have nobody, you're not with a man, or something. Everybody's got somebody. So are you really craving love, or are you just not wanting to be alone? See? And there are other ways that you can resolve that besides being within a, relationship with another person. You can be in a group of like-minded people and still have a feeling of belonging.
Yes.
But that deep love, when you're talking about that, it's usually that, I don't want to be alone. And I need to address that. I need to address, why is it that I feel so alone? And am I getting to a place where I love myself so much?
Yes.
That deep love starts with me.
And I feel this sudden urge to just slide back in there. This is Suicide Awareness Month. And we want y'all to be mindful, because a lot of times when many of the people who are suicidal, is because they're not experiencing love, that they are craving a deep feeling of wanting to be connected to someone or something. But it feels like every time they try, they're rejected and they don't feel good about themselves. Complex trauma requires complex healing modalities.
There you go.
When you've been through that much trauma in your life, you're going to probably need a therapist. You're going to learn some breathing exercises. You might go to acupuncture. You might learn how to sit in nature and things like that. You need to have a complex system put in front of you so that you can use those things to heal those things that broke you. It's just the nature of the beast. Even just someone who's just been through a traumatic experience has to go through some level of healing, right? When it's complex, you're going to need some support. There are support groups out here who can help you. For single women, there's support groups for single women, support groups for LGBTQ plus communities where I don't want to date, but let's talk about dating. All this stuff exists in order to support your journey. You are not out here alone. please know we still got the hotline 988. 988 is still the hotline that you, if you need to call if you're having suicidal thoughts. And I think we had text home to 741-741, if I remember correctly. And those are the things that can help support your journey, because it's hard. When you've been through a lot of trauma, that desire for love is real. And then, but when you're connected to trauma so closely, you attract it because it's familiar. You don't do it on purpose,
Right.
but it's a little familiar. And so you kind of fall back into it a little bit. There's support groups. There's help out here. Use your tools. The toolbox essentialist is right here.
That's right.
Reach out to her. She can help you build your toolbox with the things that you need. And I'm here to help you do the work.
That's it.
That's what we do.
Absolutely love it. You said it best right before we move on. Just like you say, you said it best. Complex trauma requires complex healing, because it's usually on various different levels.
Yes, it is.
Experiencing trauma, and you have to be able to address all of them
Yes.
in order to move to that space of peace. So I
Yes.
love that you said that. That is critical. If you didn't hear anything else, hear that. Complex
Yes.
trauma requires complex healing. Okay, let's move on. On you.
All right. People with complex trauma may feel unaware of what normal feels like. Chaos is familiar and calm feels scary. And we've touched on that just a little bit, but we all create our norm. That's why the word normal is in quotes. But being in abusive situations that are causing you to have maybe psychotic episodes or anything that's affecting your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, those things are not normal. So, and a lot of people who've been through complex trauma, they don't know any other feeling. They don't know the feeling to just get up, get dressed, go to work, come home, drink some wine, lay down, go to sleep. Just a day without somebody calling with some drama. So you have to be aware of what you want normal to look like for you, and be able to identify what feelings you do not like. I don't like when people call me complaining about my aunts and uncles, so I'm not answering the phone no more. It's too much drama. It's way too much drama. I'm not answering the phone for people who come call me with drama. I'm not watching shows that got drama going on in it. I don't want it anymore. I've experienced drama all my life. Those are the decisions that people have to sometimes make in order to take away the things that seem so familiar and now create space to know what peace looks like.
Yeah. I mean that's something where it says that unaware of what normal feels like. It's almost like you become numb to that. One thing that we talk about, as a trainer in the childcare industry, we talk about the fact that children like routine, because yes, for them, routine is knowing that when they come into that safe space, that they're going to experience, they're going to eat a meal, they're going to have a time of rest, they're going to be able to interact with their friends and things of that nature. We try to create that normalcy. Normalcy is normally found in safe spaces, but when chaos is familiar, those are the children sometimes that you see acting out in it, because they're just like, okay, things aren't going on. I'm not living in that constant fear, and so when everything goes right, they feel like they have to create chaos again, because they're like, no, this is too much normalcy, and we see that sometimes in our children, and that's we want them to have that safe space, but some of them cannot embrace it, because they're so used to when they get home, or it feels like a safe space there, but they know as soon as they get home, it's going to be chaotic. So let me just go ahead and start the chaos right now, and we want to try to break that cycle.
As an educator, I can't. I'm talking about children because my hands off for me, but I can't imagine how you can identify that so quickly. You probably can. This child sees chaos at home because they're chaotic. Not just a regular child that talks too much. I'm talking about bringing straight chaos to the classrooms each and every school year. I can imagine what that feels like as an educator to see that. Thank you, Kim. Kim put the Suicide and Crisis Hotline
Yes.
Call or text 988, baby.
Yes, that's
Get the
correct.
help you need. But yeah, that chaos. I've seen adults. Come on, y'all. There's got to be somebody who knows that feeling of you walk in the door. The house is peaceful, but because people haven't done exactly what you wanted them to do, now you got to shake the whole house up. You raising hell with everybody. And nobody's looking forward to you coming home every single day. Nobody wants you coming home, or they try to remember to do what you said and they forgot the one thing. So now you back to raising. That's because you're not used to that peace. There's a way to do things without creating chaos. It really is another option, believe it or not. But if you're so used to the hell raising, you're usually going to be a hell raiser. And so people with complex trauma, you'll see that so very often. Learn what you want. That's the only way I could navigate a lot of what I wanted my life to look like, is to create the desire. I didn't know the feeling.
Right.
I may have not always known the feeling of what it felt. My kids come home to a peaceful house. When I used to come home, I was terrified. I didn't know what I was going to be I didn't know what I was going to be in trouble for. I just didn't. Who was? And my mother told me, because my father was a really bad alcoholic and drug addict. She told me I would come home. She said, one day you said, Mom, there's a question mark on the door. She said, and that's why I knew I had to leave your father. She said, because you were telling me you don't even know what we're about to step into when we walk in this door. And that's chaos. That's a crazy feeling to have. So when I wanted peace, when I said I was going to pursue peace, I didn't always know what that looked like.
Right.
I didn't. So I had to discover what it did. I had to Google it. I know that may sound crazy to some people, but legit, because I didn't know the feeling. Okay, sitting outside without a phone, without anything around you, just listen to the birds, just feeling the sun on your skin, going to the things that feel good, and then replicate that feeling maybe in a conversation. That's how I learned how to transmute. So I knew what it felt like to be still with no noise other than the sounds of nature. And then I could go into a crowded Walmart that may have given me anxiety at one point and replicate the feeling I had in nature so that I can navigate and do what I need to do. It's work.
Yeah. And it's like you said, I think, and that's where you definitely need, therapists or someone to help
Yes.
you, because if you don't know, just like you said, if you're in constant chaos and you don't know what normalcy looks like, and you don't experience over a certain level of time, or have somebody tell you this is what a safe space looks like, and these are some things that you can do. If they don't know, they just don't know. So it's hard, for those who act out, because that's what happens. We tend to do things when we don't know. We when we don't know, we become fearful and we act out
Yes.
of that fear.
Out of the fear.
I don't know what it looks like, so I'm frustrated and I don't know what to do and I don't know what it looks like, so I'm just going to go with my emotions. So you wind up reacting as opposed to responding. And that's something that I talk about all the time. We have to get to a space where we're responding to the things that are going on around us and not reacting because we don't know.
You
If
don't
we don't know, we need to find people who can
out.
help us or assist us or communicate. I'm scared. I don't know what normal looks like. What are some things? Give me some suggestions. And it starts from childhood, you know? And that's why, like I said, working in the childcare industry, we always are constantly talking about safe spaces. We're constantly talking about, okay, when you feel upset, come over to this cozy corner and play with this little fidget spinner or touch this soft animal. And these are some things that we're teaching our young children. But there are so many of us have gone into adulthood not having those experiences. And so it's important for us to be able to use our words. And that's where our voice comes in. Open that throat chakra and say, I need help because I'm in a space and I don't know what to do. And I don't want to act out. I need the help. So healing comes from recognition, also realizing that something is wrong and saying, okay, something is not right. I need help. And being able to ask for that help.
Yep. Love it.
All right. People with complex traumas may detach quickly when they feel unsafe. They may shut down or disappear. And that's where, we have to really, know our friends, make sure that we're observant as well. And notice when you have a friend or a loved one that seems to be stepping back, all of a sudden they're kind of flying under the radar. You typically hear from them and all of a sudden you're not hearing from them. you know, and that's where sometimes we have to step in and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a minute. That's where you tell you go out, reach out to those who, you know, typically you hear from, and then all of a sudden you're not hearing from them. Because again, they're at the point where they're starting to close the door, and they're starting to hide, and they're starting to shut down because they're having issues with coping with their situation and understanding it. And that's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't see it in ourselves, but we see it in others. And you may even want to, you know, if you notice that you're going to get in a situation like that, start writing down or putting somewhere, put in your purse. Again, if I'm, you know, if I seem disconnected or if something seems wrong, contact this person. You know, sometimes we need to put things in place. If you don't hear from me, you know, just say, hey, if anything's ever going on and you don't hear from me for like 2 days, something like that, reach out and check on me.
Yes.
Do those things while you're in your a good frame of mind.
Yep.
You know, just like some people have in their phone, they have ICE, the ICE in case of emergency. So just in case anything happens or something happens to me,
don't put that in your phone. Don't put that in your phone.
They tell you not to, but
I'm saying because I don't think it's ICE, and I'm not calling them folks on you.
Put in case of emergency.
Spell it out for me.
Write the words in case of emergency. But
we're trying to
in a good frame of mind, just, you know, to those people who are close to you or people who you know will check on you, just say, hey, you know, just not for nothing, but if, you know, you don't hear from me in a day or two, you know, just check on me. You know, give people a little bit of a heads up. They'll remember. And be like, wait a minute.
They'll remember.
If I ain't hear from her, make sure I reach out to her. Let me go ahead and reach out to her.
What? I'm going to be annoyed for the next 2 days. Please believe. Paranoid. Thinking about you the whole time.
Okay.
But yeah, even and if you're in a relationship with someone like this, because people with complex trauma can have healthy relationships. It's a navigation process. That's all. So if you're in a relationship with someone who you notice detaches every time they're, look what it says, when they feel unsafe. It doesn't mean you did it. It doesn't mean you necessarily made them feel unsafe, right? It's just the trauma speaking. So sometimes you could just say, are you okay? Can I hold you? Would you like to talk? And if they don't want to, just know that I'm here. I just want you to know I'm here. If you need some time to yourself, I respect that. But just know I'm here if you want to talk. Because the moment you start fussing at them for being that, you created an unsafe space again. You always shutting off. You never want to talk when things are going on. You get quiet and bip, 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 bip. There's a balance. And if you're the person who detaches, you can't do that in a relationship for months at a time.
Right.
It becomes very unhealthy for the other person. So you have to find that nice middle ground. Okay, I need 2 hours to myself. I'm going to step away, go to the park, and I'll be back, and then we can talk. Learning how to navigate that complex trauma.
I love that. Excellent. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Also, people with trauma may have shaky boundaries. I'm sorry, it was your turn.
No.
Okay. They either give too much or they shut everyone out. That runs along the same lines of what we were just talking about. You know, they give too much or they go to extremes. There's no gray area. Everything is either black or white. And you have to be able, again, that's where communication comes in.
Yeah.
You know, you have somebody, you'll tell them something. Now, well, you always, is it always or is it situational? You know? So it's like you have to find that balance.
Yeah.
You have to be able to say, okay, what's going on here? Let me focus on this situation that's happening right now. We tend to create files, a whole file, and then as soon as something goes wrong, we want to go A to Z on that file about what that person did.
Yeah.
That person may have said what they said or made the decision that they made based on the circumstance. It doesn't mean that the circumstance could not have changed.
Yes.
And because the circumstance may have changed, that person may have a different perspective.
Yeah.
Or they learned better, so they started doing better. And we have to be able to not be so black and white on certain things and look at things for the situation that they are and how we can address that specific situation that's happening right now.
Yes.
And work on that. Going to those extremes is going to cause a lot of instability. It's going to cause a lot of doubt. And
Yeah.
and then there's lack of trust because I don't know how you're gonna jump off on me one way or the other. And that's what causes the breakdown.
There you go.
Because now they have issues with trusting the person that's going through that trauma.
Yeah.
Not realizing that sometimes it may not be their fault. That's just their defense mechanism at the time.
That's it. And it just made me think of what we were talking about earlier about the craving for relationships, but it ended up being traumatized because you've had multiple bad relationships. Here we go, right here. The shaky boundaries. That's one of the things of why. Because I've seen women who give every man everything. Every man. And so, and you're attracting people who need everything because you don't feel that great about yourself because of the trauma you've been through, yada 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 yada. And so that's how that whole vicious cycle goes. I don't feel good about myself. I attract people who don't make me feel good about myself. I don't have very good boundaries, so I'm giving way too much to this person. Now they're making me not feel good about myself. Now I don't feel good about, you know what I'm saying? It's just a constant cycle of toxicity that has to be balanced out in order to have the healthy life you want.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's start wrapping things up here.
Okay, I'll go with this one this time. So people with complex trauma may make you feel their reactions are about you or something you did. And it's usually old wounds resurfacing. That's essentially what Kim was just saying the last time. You know, people's reactions aren't necessarily you. It's hard not to take it personally because they came for you. They feel like you came for me, but that's what they're used to. If somebody has to do this most of their life, or they're doing this, they're going to do it to you, even though you didn't do anything. They're going to call you the aggressor, and you weren't even being aggressive, you know. But it's not you; it's the experience they've had. So you have to be mindful, and when we're going through it ourselves, we have to be mindful not to push our baggage onto other people.
Right. And it's like you said, it's key for us to really take the time to understand why people may be doing the things that they're doing. Some people are very standoffish. You may not know that they've experienced trauma in the past, especially if the relationship is new. It may not be that you know what's going on. And that's where, you know, if they don't know the trust, they're not going to tell you that they've been through all of those traumas. So, you know, sometimes it's just a matter of, you know, having things like this show up, doing a little bit of research and just saying, I'm noticing that the person that I care about is exhibiting these traits.
Yes.
And to go and start looking into it and seeing what it can possibly be. And that's taking the time to really get to know somebody, taking the time to really, you know, take that little bit of a deeper dive or peel back the onion and say, okay, why is it that they're saying what they're saying? Why is it that they're doing what they're doing?
Right.
Sometimes you got to take the time to ask them, and if they're not willing to tell us, to dig a little deeper if that's what we're seeking to do. If we're seeking to establish and be in a relationship with that person, we're going to take that deeper dive.
Absolutely.
Okay? I want to move on. We got 2 more slides to go, and I want to make sure we get all this good information. People with complex traumas feel that loyalty means everything. Fake love and fake trust almost destroyed them. These are all going back. They all are cyclical. They all are going in rotation. They're all things that tend to happen in that complex trauma. There's that distrust. There's that loyalty. And then they begin to think that everybody, oh, well, you just saying you love me. You just saying that just to be saying that.
Yeah.
I don't know that you're being honest. Do you really love me? Why do you love me?
Yeah.
Again, when you start asking all those questions, well, why do you love me? Oh, you don't know why? Okay, so you must really not love me.
Yeah.
You know, all of those things start to come into play. And then again, they're going down a rabbit hole. And it's hard to find your way out if you know, every situation that you've been in tends to end in some type of, like I said earlier, some type of heartache.
Right.
You've got to get back to that place. Where do you get back to that place of saying, okay, you've always felt that the person is fake loving or fake trusting you. How do you get back to a place of trusting again? What is it that person would have to do that would eliminate that?
Yeah.
And that goes back to you. It goes back to, okay, how do you establish trust again?
That's right.
Right? That's something, like I said, it destroys you if you're not clear. It's like, I don't know what that means. I don't know. But until I reestablish it again, I can't be in a relationship.
I don't know what that means. Right.
That one's a little, that's a complex one. All right, let's move on to the last one.
All right. So finally, y'all, when we're loving someone, because this is all about understanding people who've dealt with complex trauma, right? When you're loving someone with complex trauma, it requires some grace, consistency, and emotional safety. Grace is going to say, it's okay this time, not all the time. Consistency is showing up so they feel safe, being you, consistently you, and providing that safe space like Kim talked about earlier.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, you know, in this month, like she said, of suicide prevention, as we're coming up on the holidays
Yes.
and, things of that nature, it's going to be difficult for people to, you know, to express themselves, to get through this season. And
Yeah.
it's going to require that grace. It's going to require that love, that consistency.
Yes.
But it's definitely important that we create tools that are going to help us when we see these things coming. And if we know that we have a tendency during a certain time of year or
Yeah.
when certain things happen, what things am I putting in place that are going to help when I get to that space? It's not always, it's hard to resolve the issue when you're standing in the midst of it.
In the midst of it.
That's
Yes.
why it's important to have things in place prior to them coming. If you know you get depressed during this time of the year, what are some things that you can put in place that are going to help you? What are some people, who are some people that you can call and just say, hey, every couple of days, just check in on me and see how I'm doing? What
Yes.
things are you putting in place before you fall down the rabbit hole, before things get intense? Because it's hard to think clearly when
Exactly.
you're going through the storm. You may
Exactly.
not, you need to have that umbrella with you so when the storm comes, you can put it up. You don't want to get soaking wet, then talk looking around.
Then,
Where's my
where's
umbrella?
an umbrella?
Do that.
Where's my
It's
umbrella?
hard to do that. So we hope that this has been helpful.
Yes, I hope
Please
so
make sure
too.
that you continue to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Okay. Make sure that you hit that notification bell. Let us know that you're here. Let us know that we're up and on the air. And make sure that you love on each other and look out for each other. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. And with that, we are going to end tonight's show. Hope that, again, that this has been beneficial. Reach out to us.
Yes,
Okay. Know
please.
that this is a safe space for you to come, to talk, to share. And we're here to lend that helping hand.
Yes.
Okay. And so with that, we look forward to seeing you all the next time. And
That's
until then, say peace.